We are just 3 weeks into the college football season now, and Deion Sanders has arguably the toughest quarterback decision to make in college football.
You are Locked On Buffs, your daily podcast on the Colorado Buffaloes, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Buffs. I'm your host, Kevin Borba. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Football season is here, so visit FanDuel, the app today, and start planning your futures bets right now. Joining me is Jordan Domineck, former Georgia Tech, former Colorado pass rusher, and we're here to talk about your former teammate. But first of all, I got to thank everyone for making us their first listen of the day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcasts, so make sure to like, subscribe, and follow. Also, become a Locked On Buffs insider. Me and Jordan, we're doing a little film breakdown. We just finished an hour pretty much of diving into the Delaware versus Colorado film. Jordan provided his expertise. I provided my colorful input here and there, and we had some fun. So, Jordan, Colorado, weird quarterback plan, right? I think it was probably one of the most bizarre things I've seen, where they start Kaidon Salter, who top transfer portal quarterback. They probably paid a chunk of change for him to get to Boulder, and they play Julian Lewis, they play Salter, and everyone thought it'd be between them. And then lo and behold, QB3, who had been QB2 for the past 2 years, Ryan Staub, comes in and starts dealing. Finished the game 7-10 for over 100, nearly 160 yards, 2 tuds. If you're Deion Sanders, if you're Coach Prime, who are you starting on Friday against Houston?
Based on everything that's happened, it's going to be such a hard decision. Off the top of my head, the first person that comes to mind is got to be Staub. Like, he's the person that he has made the biggest impact so far in the past, however long I can remember, the past 2 weeks. So I feel like for me, it'd be Staub. But once again, that's only so much I can say. Kaidon Salter had a pretty good game against Georgia Tech as well. Juju Lewis showed a little bit here and there. It was a game against Delaware, but this is going to be a huge, huge decision for Colorado going forward. And I don't think it's going to be a decision that a lot of people see coming. I feel like the answer might surprise you with who he chooses. Honestly, me personally, I might be a bit biased because I watched Ryan Staub go from a young freshman to leading Colorado to 2 touchdowns on 160 yards off of 10 passes.
Yeah.
I watched that happen. So to be in real time, to know Ryan Staub, I say, hey, I'm going with Ryan till the wheels fall off. And if he does that, it might make a statement, not just in college football, but the pros, because there are other people out there with quarterbacks. I'm not going to say names, but there's a quarterback out there that's QB3 that I feel like could be a QB1 right now.
Did this QB3 happen to play for one of the schools that you happen to attend yourself?
I might have played with the man at one of the schools. I'm just saying, we never know, but hey.
Who knows? We're not naming names, but
I think Ryan Staub actually might have sent out a little signal to him, to that other QB3. He might have
a little bat signal.
A little bat signal. But
yeah, no, I think realistically, Ryan Staub showed the most confidence, right? Which he kind of comes in there with a what do I have to lose mentality, because at the end of the day, like, he was already QB3, so it's like he has that mentality of like, I'm just going to come out here and ball. I'm going to come out here and take my shots when I get them. He hot routes Sincere Brown a couple times. One of them led to a 71-yard touchdown. And Deion Sanders after the game said, I saw what everyone else saw, right? And to me, that tells me I saw Kaidon Salter not really be the guy that we were hoping. I think Kaidon, like you said, he played well in the first half, but we talked about this during our film breakdown. He went 2 hours between snaps, right? Kaidon Salter did. And so he comes in, and at that point, I could sort of tell. I pride myself on being like a body language doctor, and like my diagnosis of Kaidon Salter was basically every time he touched the ball he was trying to make something big happen, because he knew that the job was pretty much slipping away from him. And if you're Coach Prime and you don't go with Ryan Staub, I don't know how you could face that locker room. Right? Like, the locker room, I feel like, spoke for everyone too, because you saw in the well-off media videos where everyone was jazzed for him. Like, everyone was pumped for Staub. The crowd was chanting his name. The crowd was booing Salter. Like, I feel like the audience or the general public has made their decision. Like, Jordan, if you're in that locker room and say Coach Prime doesn't go with Ryan Staub, like, what is your feeling then?
if I'm in that locker room, I would just, and they don't go with Ryan Staub, I would be confident. Because if they believe that there's somebody better than Ryan Staub out
Okay.
there, hey, we got to play for him. And
Mhm.
if he doesn't do it, I know we got Ryan Staub in the back end. So I know he's
Yeah.
going to come in and make something happen.
Yeah.
So either way, you're still going to have to keep the confidence in the locker room. You're still going to rock with your QB1. But I personally would
Yeah.
be surprised if they do not have Ryan Staub starting against Houston this weekend.
Yeah. And I think we don't know a lot about Ryan Staub, right? We've seen him play against Utah 2 years ago now. He got some action last year. I forgot what game that was, but they were up big. It might have been against Utah again, if I'm not mistaken. They beat Utah.
Actually, that was when he got his first start, yes, when he
Yeah.
played against Utah.
Yeah. The first time in your year. And then last year he played, I think, against Utah again because they hung like 50 on him.
Mhm.
Tell me about Ryan Staub, right? What is his game? We saw it a little bit where big arm, kind of athletic, pretty athletic, sneaky athletic because he looks like me. Is that
Sneaky
what we're saying?
athletic.
But no,
So
talk to me about Staub. Like, what does he bring to the table?
So from personal experience, what I would see with Staub is he's definitely grown from a freshman. When he first came in, he was always studying. He's very into the book. He wants to know his offense in and out. He
Mhm.
studies, he talks, he goes to meetings, extra meetings, everything like that. He is one of those guys that's going to put all the effort he can into learning the game. Even if he knows, hey, I might not be playing this week, I'm still going to be prepared. And as you saw, he was prepared when he came out this week. Ryan Staub is a guy that has been just a workhorse every single day. He's always smiling, he's always laughing, he's joking, but he can get serious at times. He knows how to motivate his team. He is a great leader on that field, and he's just been biding his time. He was always a really good quarterback. He was always very well when it came to 7-on-7 and standing in the pocket, taking a hit. But what really surprised me was the way he can actually move his legs. Like you said, he is athletic, and I wouldn't even call it sneaky. You can tell he's athletic from the way he moves, the way that he's able to just he's fast, he's elusive, he can make juke moves, and he's a smart quarterback when it comes down to decision making. He knows how to lead his team up and down the field. He knows how to make something happen with his legs, but he's also not afraid to stand in the pocket and take a hit if he knows he can make the pass. And he
Mhm.
showed that he can do all of that. And what I want to see more from him is I want to see a little bit more running from him. I feel like he showed that he can pass the ball against Delaware. I showed that he can lead his offense down. I feel like the offense moves smoother, whether it was running the ball or passing the ball with Staub in the game. And then to have the confidence as a QB3 to, hey, I'm a hot route, my 6'5" receiver against a one-on-one press coverage guy. And you notice that the safety's coming down. He's going to take that little out route to the that 10-yard out. He just ended up hot routing and throwing a 70, 71-yard touchdown.
Yeah.
That's confidence you would usually see in like a starting quarterback for years. You wouldn't see somebody hot route something like that, especially a QB3. And for Ryan Staub to come in and be that confident and that knowing of not just his offense, but also of what the defense is going to do, it just shows how smart of a quarterback he is and how ready he is. So I feel like Staub will be the best decision going forward right now. That
Yeah.
being said, I
Mhm.
do want to hop over to Kaidon Salter if you don't mind.
Yeah. Go for it.
Kaidon Salter did pretty well for his debut. He showed what well, not his debut, against Delaware. He showed that he can make things happen with his legs. He showed that he can run the ball, but I didn't really see too much going from him from the pass game, which Colorado is known for their passing game.
Mhm.
Kaidon Salter, he's one of those quarterbacks where he can make plays happen with passes, but I feel like he's more of a run first kind of quarterback. He's one of those guys that he's a Lamar Jackson esque kind of guy when it comes to running the ball. So he was doing pretty well. He got great yardage. He was a tenacious quarterback when it came to running the ball. He was able to score with his legs on a 7-yard touchdown run in the first half. And then you said it again, though. He did sit for a full 2 hours before he ended up coming back onto the field after letting Juju and after seeing Juju and Ryan Staub both go out there and play. Um, Ryan, like I said, was the best quarterback that showed out for Delaware. Juju. Oh, do you have anything to say about Slater or Salter?
Yeah. I think with Caden Salter, I just feel like we're seeing someone who's maybe losing confidence in real time.
Hmm.
And I think the problem that when he came back in, one, it had already been 2 hours since he played, and two, and I think I mentioned this earlier, is just he was trying so hard. Like you
Hmm.
could, he wanted it, but it was like it's one of those things where it's like if you, the harder you try to force something, like the worse the worse off you are. Like he was
Yeah.
missing reads on. They started running read options, and he started pulling the ball every time. And that's when, especially for quarterback, that's when you know that they're really pressing the issue. Is like, regardless of what the defensive line is giving you, like I'm going to pull the ball regardless because I want to make a play. He missed some open receivers, and I think if you're Kaidon Salter, you know that you're one play away from playing. I think it's disappointing because this is obviously his last year of college. So he has no more eligibility after this. There's no transferring out for a better opportunity after this. Like he pretty much is done, right? So we don't know what decision Coach Prime's going to make, but you just hope that he stays engaged. You hope that Colorado finds a way to keep him involved in the offense. But to jump on to Julian Lewis, I've said this throughout. I just don't think he's ready yet. What do you think?
Julian, like you said, he showed a little something when out there. He knows how to use his feet, but I feel like he, as a quarterback, isn't used to that environment that he's been in so far. I think he
Mhm.
panicked a little bit while he was out there.
Yeah.
We were talking about it in the film breakdown where there was a play where he ended up seeing an open lane, and instead of letting his wide receivers develop, he ended up running straight into a defensive game where he ended up having to run out the back end to the right side and
Mhm.
scrolling out. It was a 3rd and 7, and they ended up having to punt after that. And I'm not saying that he's not good. He's really, really good. I like the way that he plays. He has a little swagger, a little confidence, but he's not fully confident in his offense just yet. And I want him to have a little bit more practice, a little bit more uh, getting to know the players, getting to know the play style, and just being willing to, hey, I'm gonna sit back here in the pocket. I don't need to run as soon as I get the ball. As soon as I see another defensive lineman coming at me.
Yeah.
They threw a lot of things at him that first week. Delaware did with 6-man blitzes, 5-man blitzes, games, turns, and everything like that. And like I said, he's good. I wouldn't say he's ready for a starting role in a quarterback position just yet because he still has a lot to learn. He still has a lot of confidence to get, and he still has to do a little bit more studying, a little bit more film, and be a little bit more patient in it.
Yeah.
But I will say that he did show sparks and flashes with what he can do with his feet, and he made a couple passes, nice passes to there.
Yeah.
So I feel like, he's not ready just yet to be a starter, but as long as he's still working and still going, I feel like he'll be pretty good to go. Not saying starting, but I feel like he'll get some good playing time down the lane this year, and then
Yeah.
you never know what happens when years pass.
Yeah. I think for Julian Lewis, it's all about being ready when your name's called. Same thing with Salter or Staub, whoever doesn't win the job is, that Coach Prime is willing to play all three in a game, obviously. But you never know. Injuries can happen. Poor performance can happen, right? So you just always got to be ready. I know it's disappointing to not be the guy, especially when you were hoping or thought you'd be the guy, but that's this thing we call life. And sometimes it just doesn't work in our favor. When we come back, we're going to talk about what needs to be better for Colorado as they prepare to take on the Houston Cougars. Welcome back to Locked on Buffs. This episode is brought to you by 5 Hour Energy. If you're feeling a little tired, well, guess what? It's time to fuel up and turn it up with 5 Hour Energy Transfusion. The grape, ginger, and lime flavored shot brings the iconic taste of a golf course favorite to a non-alcoholic boost. Perfect for sinking birdies or making great memories with friends. It's a hole-in-one in your energy game. Whether you're out on the course or just need a little extra push to power through your day, 5 Hour Energy Transfusion delivers the clubhouse favorite you love without ever leaving the green. Golf is all about good times with good people and good flavors. And the grape ginger lime flavor of 5 Hour Energy Transfusion gives you the best parts of your clubhouse go-to without leaving the course or chasing down the beverage cart. Now you can amp up the fun even more. Just buy, snap, and enter for a chance to win a dream golf trip for two to any golf tournament in the USA. Tee up that trip. Visit us at 5hewin.com for full rules and entry. No purchase necessary. Excludes the Master Tournament. Ends October 31st. This episode of Locked on Buffs is also brought to you by our sponsors over at FanDuel. Now, college football season's here, so you're going to want to get in on the action. And FanDuel, it's the perfect place to do just that. Right now, new customers can bet $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. It makes the game more exciting, whether you're watching your team or just keeping an eye on your fantasy lineup. So, are you ready to play? Download the FanDuel app right now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet. Welcome back to Locked on Buffs. It's me, Kevin Borba, and Jordan Domineck, former Buff himself. We just talked about the quarterback situation, so go check that out if you missed it. We're talking about what needs to be better. Colorado wins convincingly 31-7 against Delaware, but there was two things that stood out to me that could be better. And I'll take the offensive side of things, and I'll let you take the defensive side of things since that's your MO. Offensively, I think that the run blocking situation could be a little bit better. I'm not going to pretend like I have the answers to that situation, that problem, but I think Colorado's pass protection has been tremendous this year, much better than it was the past 2 years where they had probably the worst offensive lines in college football. But now I think it's time for the run blocking to step up a little bit. We saw running behind Jordan Seaton worked. We broke that down in our film breakdown. If you want to become a Locked on Buffs insider, the link will be below in the comment section. Me and Jordan, we did a film breakdown. Jordan explained everything that Colorado was doing right, doing wrong. And I think running behind Jordan Seaton is working well for them. And I think they should do more of it. And I think the rest of the offensive line needs to continue to figure out how to push the defensive line forward. Jordan, what is one thing that the defense needs to do better from your perspective?
The defense needs to tackle. They need to wrap up. They need to have better angles. They need to be more anticipative, and they need to be more aggressive when it comes to tackling. That is one thing that we did see. We saw Delaware had almost 400 yards on the day, and that was simply because they would run simple little routes that would be like 5 yard outs, 7 yard outs, and they would end up going for about 30, 40 more yards after the catch because Colorado wasn't able to tackle on the back end. There were some good plays where there was a lot of effort on the defensive side, which I do love. People were getting to the ball. There was one play specifically where we had a defensive lineman that had rushed all the way down to the offensive line's 5 yard line on a pass rush, and he ended up making the tackle at 35 down the field. So there was a lot of effort from a lot of
Shout out
people.
Edwin Barnes. Yeah.
Shout them out, shout them out. So there were a lot of people that show that they had flashes, and they showed talent of what they could do. But we definitely need to do better with the tackling. And I don't know if that has to do with the drills or just simply the angle that people take. But there were a few good plays. There was a lot of bad when it came to that. And one more thing we could do is, like I said, the defensive line could play a little bit better against the run. They could get more penetration, and they need to be able to hold up their gaps. And we saw flashes of both Colorado's defensive game where they were able to, show impact after impact play. One that steps out the mind from the film breakdown was Jeremiah Brown on that 4th-and-1 goal line stop. Colorado called a 6-man blitz. Jeremiah Brown ended up getting into the backfield, but the entire defensive line was playing on the offensive side of the ball. So that was something good. So one thing that Colorado is going to have to focus on this week against Houston is being able to be stout up front on the line, playing aggressive, and the tackling. They have to make sure that they can tackle in the open field against Houston because they have great wide receivers, they have great running backs, and they have a quarterback that also can move. And he is a really good quarterback. He's shown flashes of what he can do. He showed his talent as well over at Houston for their first 2 weeks. So I feel like it's going to be a good test for them, especially after the game they just played.
Yeah, I think when you don't have to play this game of what are we going to do at quarterback and you just move straight forward with whatever the answer is. I don't know what the answer is going to be, but we both think it's going to be Staub. Jordan, let's just go back a little bit. You talked about tackling. You said you don't know if it's angles, you don't know if it's technique or whatever. How do you get better at tackling? Like a very dumb question, but as a player on defense, you guys are missing tackles. How do you improve that? Because they missed 13 total as a team, which isn't great.
So the main thing that a lot of people need to realize that if you're going to tackle somebody, especially somebody strong, you have to cut them off at their legs. You have to go low. So a lot of tackling in the middle, a lot of the missed tackles that they had was a lot of them going high. They were trying to wrap up around the shoulder pads. They were trying to sling, and you can't do that, especially if you're going against somebody that has a strong lower body and has a good center of gravity. You have to be able to tackle low. A lot of other people, a few missed tackles were because people were trying to shoot their shot, but once again, that was the angle that they were taking. There was one play where I remember Delaware was on their, I believe, 10-yard line, and they threw a 5 yard out to the side. And who was it? I can't remember the name of the boy from Delaware, but he ended up turning it up the sideline. He ended up getting turned back inside by Stoudemire, who ended up shooting his shot and it looked good. He was able to do what he needed to do, and ended up turning the defense, no, turning the ball carrier back into the teeth of the defense. And even though he did that, there was a linebacker there that ended up missing the tackle, even though he was able to hit him. And that was all because, hey, he was angling at one direction instead of another.
Mm,
And this is the same play that Barnes ended up making that tackle 35 yards down the field.
yeah.
So one thing about it, to be able to tackle, you have to be low on a defense. Oh, you have to be low on the ball carrier. You have to wrap up. You can't just try to swipe or just grab with hands. You have to put your body onto their body, and you
Mm,
have to drive your feet through the ground. You can't just stop your feet on contact. You can't just hit and just be like, okay, you're just gonna come down with me, or I'm gonna just throw you down. No, these are some strong running backs that they've played, and Delaware had some pretty good players. Um, you have to be able to wrap up. You have to be able to get low on somebody, and you have to drive your feet. Those are the three main components of wrapping up, the three main components of tackling. And the main thing that you have to do is have the angle on the player. You can't just try and shoot your shot when you know that they have shifty players. So you have to be able to tackle in open space, which is, I'm saying this is a lot harder than it is. And that's just something that you have to drill every day and practice, 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 practice. Even if
mm.
you're only thudding, thud in the way that you would want to tackle somebody, you know? So that's
Interesting.
just how it's going to be.
Yeah, and I think, I mean, Colorado tackles a little bit better, and I think some of those big plays they don't happen at all, right? I think Colorado, that play you're talking about in particular on the sideline, I think there was 3 missed tackles, 4 missed tackles. The play where Ben Finiseth forced the fumble it was like the 5 yard line. That was like a 45-yard play before Ben came in, right? Like you're allowing plays that should be a maximum gain of 7 to 10 yards turn into gains of 20 to 40 yards, and that's not sustainable, right? You can't
Yeah.
win games if you're going to be giving up big plays like that. So offensively, they need to get a stronger push in the run game, because I do think the running backs are playing really well for Colorado, and I think we're due for Deion Sanders' first 100-yard rusher any game now. And defensively, wrap up a little bit better, and I think teams will have a harder time moving the ball against the Buffs. We're going to take another quick break. When we come back, Jordan's going to talk to us about what it's like to win on the road and how it's difficult and what Colorado needs to do in order to do just that. This episode of Locked On Buffs is brought to you by our sponsors over at Game Time. College football is back, and I couldn't be more excited. There's tailgates, there's rivalries, there's energy in the stands. There's nothing like it. But let's be real. Getting the tickets, that could feel like more of a battle than the game itself. There's endless queues, hidden fees, prices at jumping at checkout. That's why I use Game Time, the app that gives the advantage back to the fans. It's the easiest way to score last-minute tickets at the best prices with no surprise fees. You see what you pay. My favorite part, it's faster, it's cheaper, and it's way less stressful than any other app out there. So take the guesswork out of buying college football tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, that's promo code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket. Go down, download Game Time today. Welcome back to Locked On Buffs. It's Kevin Borba. It's Jordan Domineck. Jordan, the Buffs are leaving Boulder for the first time this year. They're going down to Houston, which is kind of like I don't say a homecoming for Coach Prime, because he doesn't live in Houston, but he's a Texas guy, kind of. He played for the Dallas Cowboys. When he was recovering from his cancer this offseason, he stayed in Texas. So kind of a homecoming for him and some of their players. Talk to me about how things change, right? We're no longer getting prepared to go play on our home field. We are preparing to go play at Houston or whatever it may be. So what goes through preparation? What are the big differences, and what are the challenges?
So there are a few things that you have to prepare for. One thing is you're going from someplace that's all the way high in the mountains. Now you're going to barely above sea level.
Mhm.
So that's going to be the main thing that you're going to have to worry about is hydration, hydration, hydration. How are you going to prepare your body to go from Colorado heat to Texas heat? Because it's a very different thing. How are you
Mhm.
going to be able to change for that elevation? How are you going to feel going out there and playing? And Coach Prime, being from Texas, or not being from Texas, but having been in Texas for the longest and knowing a lot of things about Texas, he's going to have his players prepared.
Right.
You're going into a hostile environment for the first time this year on the road. This is the first time you're going to be there where a crowd is actually against you, where you're not only playing against the crowd or not only playing against the team, but you're playing against the crowd. You're
Mhm.
now going to be, there are going to be so many more noisemakers on offense. How is the quarterback going to be able to respond to something that's something like like that. How is he going to be able to respond to so much noise around him, so much chaos going around? While on the opposite side of the ball, as the defense, how are you going to be able to compare? How are you going to be able to play when you're not at home, when you don't have the crowd on your back, when the offense can really focus and get into their playbook and open their plays up? What are
Mhm.
you going to be able to do to prepare for that? So it's going to be a few environmental factors, a few different factors going in, and plus being on the road, you have to prepare for the travel, you have to prepare for getting on and off the plane, traveling through the buses, having to stay in a hotel overnight. What is your mentality going into it? That's going to be the main thing that the players are going to have to focus on, especially the new players or the players that have never been in that kind of environment before. It's going to be a lot. And just to focus on winning, that's going to be the task at hand. You're going to have so many other factors going against you as an away game. And that's why they say, hey, home field advantage. Colorado's had home field advantage for the first 2 games of the season. And now they're going to be going against a team that has been doing pretty well this season. I believe Houston is what, 2-0 at the
Who
moment?
knows? Yeah, they've
Yeah.
played Stephen F. Austin and Rice, and they've handled business. And I mean, that's sort of all you can ask with games like that. And Houston's going to be a tough one. So, Jordan, quick question: what is your favorite and least favorite thing about road games?
My favorite thing about road games is I love to see the new environments. I love going
Hmm.
and watching different crowds. And when I win, I love waving at them goodbye.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we'll see you
And
later.
see,
Least favorite part.
especially if it's a close game.
Yeah.
Least favorite part is just the travel. It's
Okay.
so much. I hate having to get on the plane and then get off the plane and get on a bus and then we have to go to the hotel, check in. It's just so much. Like I love going there. I love taking pictures. I love seeing new environments and new places. But I just hate having to get there. Like
Yeah.
that's my main thing. And then road games as well. The one thing I would hate in a football environment, I hate the student section. The student section has so much power, especially when they sit you right in front of the student section. They have so much power. They're just in your ear all game, yelling, yelling, yelling. And I love
Yeah.
when we're at Colorado because that student section is basically the entire stadium.
Yeah.
And you just hear everybody just Colorado, Colorado, just going crazy with the chants and everything. And I love that. So I would say for away games, yeah. I hate having to listen to that student section. I hate having to go against that
Yeah.
crowd. But I love when you make a big play and the crowd gets real quiet. I love
Hmm.
when you're able to do that on the field.
You love to
So
silence them. You love to
love the
hit him with
silence.
the little wave and silence. You're right. Shush them, maybe. Do you ever throw out the shush? Do you shush
I
anyone
have
out there?
never, I have never. So my situation, I always did something different. So whenever I got a sack, whenever I was at Colorado, not
Hmm.
Colorado, when I was at Georgia Tech, when I got a sack, I would roll the dice. And
Oh,
then when I went to Arkansas, I started shooting the arrow, and I did the same thing at Colorado with the arrow.
mm,
But I never shushed the crowd. I always would just like look at them and just like you would just see me just scan the crowd and just smile, just like yeah. And I'm thinking in my head, yeah, shut up. Like
you're like, I
that's
did not. You guys could be quiet now.
you guys
No,
can be
we love
quiet
that.
now.
That's the energy Colorado needs. I think that'll help them. Like, obviously, you don't want to let the environment overwhelm you and like sort of overtake you, where it's like all of
Mhm.
a sudden like because we all know what happens, right? You guys get on the field, the adrenaline starts pumping, and some frat bro named Chad starts chirping, and all of a sudden you're like screaming at the stands and like on the field you start to lose focus. Like you don't want that, but you do want that little extra edge, and so it'll be a really good test for Colorado. I think they win. I haven't really done a score prediction yet. I don't know if I'm ready, but I do think they win a closer game than people expect. But I think Colorado has a little bit of momentum now, and it'll be fun. So Jordan, appreciate you hopping on. If you guys want to become Locked On Buffs insiders, there's a link below in this caption. We're going to be doing weekly film breakdowns. There's also a feature where you could text us one-on-one and we'll answer questions if you have those about anything Colorado related or maybe about Jordan's experience. So it's going to be really cool, really fun. This has been another episode of Locked On Buffs.